start a jack, then a queen. Let's write the full name out. Jack. Then a queen. Then a king. And we have an ace. And now let's get rid of 1 because ace is 1 or 11. Which we gotta figure out how we're gonna do that. So we have these two arrays, suits and values, and we want to combine them so that each, because in a deck of cards you have each set 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace, and then hearts. They're all hearts, and then you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace, and they're all diamonds, and you have them for each kind of suit. So how do we combine these two in an easy way so that we can have something that represents a card, a unique card? And the way we're going to represent each card is by each one being an array. So it would look like something like our deck would be an array that has individual arrays inside. That would say the value first, so it'd be like 2, and then it would say diamonds, and then next to it it'd be another one, and it'd be say Jack, comma, and then we'd call it clubs. It'd be a clubs, and then so on until it's 52 unique cards. So an easy way to combine these two different arrays together so that you get each one of these suits paired with every single one of these values is by using a method, and that method is dot product. And so we can test it out in this thing called IRB. IRB is actually we'll use Rails C. This is Rails console. This is like a sandbox for you to do whatever you want. So if you want to test out some Ruby code or Rails code, you can just put the commands here and they get executed and you can see the results. So if I want to see what like puts hello will output, I click enter and it outputs hello. And so if you know Ruby, puts is the command for saying print the following string. Or if I say x equals apple, then it makes x equal to apple. So now I can recall x and it's apple. So if I do a command on it like x dot first, it returns the first letter of apple. Or if I do x dot downcase, it lowercase is apple, so it's all lowercase. Anyways, Rails console is the sandbox for you to test out whatever you want to test out. So in here we're going to test out how do we combine two arrays, suits and values, to make a deck of cards. So there's this method called dot product, and I'll just show you a sample of how it works. So say we have a array called A, we'll just call it array 1. Array 1 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we have array 2, which will equal apple, banana, and orange. So we have two arrays, array 1 and array 2. How do I get them together so that I have these individual arrays that look like this? 1, comma, apple, for every single type of one in each array. And so the way you do that is you say array 1 dot product, and just like in math, if you know what FOIL is, multiplying everything in the parentheses one by one to every single other number in the other parentheses, or in this case the array. That's what this is kind of like dot product. So it multiplies every single element of one array by every single element of the other array. You make the parentheses and you put the other array in the parentheses, and it should return that. And that's exactly what we get. We get 1 apple, 1 banana, 1 orange, and then 2 apple, 2 banana, 2 orange. And this is exactly what we want to do with suits array and values array to create a deck of 52 cards. So if we tested this out in the Rails console, so let me just paste that. So we're basically saying suits is going to be an array of these 4 different kind of suits, and then we're going to create another array just like we did in the controller called values. Let's paste that in, and then now we're going to dot product them together and see what we get. So suits dot product values, and voila, we get 52 different unique cards, which is what we want. So now we will just we'll put that in here, and we're going to create a variable called deck. Deck equals suits dot product values, and that'll make us have an array. But knowing what scope is, deck, since this is just a normal variable inside the deal new round method, as soon as the computer executes this method and finishes, this deck variable will disappear into thin air, and we won't have that information stored in our website server, which we need to have, because in order to play the game, you can't have a new deck of cards every single time you deal out new cards. When you deal out a jack of diamonds, you have 51 cards and you're missing that jack of diamonds. That has everything to do with the possibilities and what makes a big part of the game of blackjack. Because then someone could get jack of diamonds, jack of diamonds, jack of diamonds, jack of diamonds, which wouldn't make sense. You gotta have unique cards that disappear once you give them out. So we gotta have the information of the cards in the deck persist throughout this whole game. And just like we did with player name and cash, we're going to use a session. So session deck. And that way this information will be remembered. Session deck. And then also we want to shuffle the cards. So how do we shuffle it? So if we go back here into our into our Rails console, and we type in suits.product. Wait, let me just, looking way too messy. So I'm going to exit out of this. Clear the screen and then recall Rails console. But then I have to type everything else. Okay. Paste that. Enter. And now suits.product. If I say deck equals suits.product. Okay. Now deck is in order. We want to shuffle it. And if we were to do that manually, that would be a huge pain, but we don't need to actually program that feature, that method of shuffling the deck. Because Rails, they already have a method called .shuffle, and if you call it on an array, it automatically randomly shuffles everything inside that array in a random order. So if we call it deck.shuffle, bam, it makes everything inside the array random. So we got hearts 4, spades 7, clubs queen, hearts 10, it's random. So when we assign suits.product values to session deck, we just dot shuffle, and that way session deck is shuffled. So now we go into the next part. Let's get rid of that. Okay. How do we deal 2 cards to each player? And again, we're gonna use a session to store the memory of the cards in your hand and the cards in the computer's hand or dealer's hand. So we're gonna create an array session player cards. I'm going to set it equal to a card from session deck. So how do we pull out a card from our array? And normally array works like this. So we have an array deck. If you call array 0, it'll return the first element in that array to us. So deck 0 should return hearts 4, because if you look up here, hearts 4 is the first element of the deck. And oh, but we get spades. Why is that? It's spades 2. Why did it do that? Say deck 1. We get spades 3. Oh, I know why. So we put the command deck.shuffle, which shuffled it. But deck.shuffle, it doesn't permanently change the deck. It just temporarily shuffles it once, and then the deck, nothing in the deck is actually changed. So if we enter deck again, it's going to be in order. And we don't want it. Well, actually, it doesn't matter if it's in order, but that's why it's in order, or it wasn't the same result. So if we do deck 0, we'll get spades 2, because spades 2 is the first element, and so on. We do deck.24, we get diamonds king. And so what we could do is we could do player cards equals session deck dot sessions deck, and then call the element that we want, which should be 0. But the thing about that is it would work. It would return the first card in the deck, but then the pain is that we would have to take that card out in another segment of code. Say session deck dot pop. I think, I'm not sure if that is something. Well, let's check it out. So deck dot pop 0. Okay, it did not do that. So let's find out the method. How to delete an element from an array. Rails. Google is really useful when you're programming, because you can search any question you have on Google about some error or problem you're having, and there will be an answer online, like a fact. No matter how unique or weird looking the error is, someone has asked it online and you can find the answer. So just like that, Stack Overflow. And they tell us a.delete. Okay, so that's really easy. So we'll just do a.delete delete 0. Same thing here, deck.delete 0. Why didn't that work? Deck.delete. Oh, I think the reason why is delete is a method that finds the element that matches what's in the parentheses, not necessarily the order. But there's got to be another method. Let's check out these. Delete add. Alright, that's exactly what we want. Delete add. So let's test that out. Deck.delete add 0. Yeah, there it did it. So now if we redo deck, it's been deleted, and now we could go on to the next thing. But a more efficient way of doing this is to do this instead. Session deck dot pop. Now what is pop? Show you. So if we write deck dot pop, there it pops out this element, and as we can see, this element was the last element in the array. The dot pop method permanently boots out this element in the array, and at the same time that it deletes it from the array, it returns that element that it booted out of the array, which is perfect. So if we call this here session player cards equals session deck dot pop, it's deleting that element, the last element of the array, and at the same time it's returning it. So what this would really be saying is it'd be giving us something like, returning something like 1/diamonds. That's what that's doing, which is what we want. And another thing is, I don't want to set equals, because if you think about a session player cards, or if you think about this array player cards, we want it to have multiple cards, so we don't want to set it just equal to one thing. So a better thing is to do these alligator signs. And so you can think about it, wrong way. Think about it like alligator. Like a mouth, alligator mouth. It's about to eat this thing. So you get two of these signs, and basically the array before it will eat whatever is in front of the alligator signs. So the element will be eaten by the player cards array, which is what we want. And we want to give the player 2 cards, so we'll do it twice. Copy, paste. And now let's test that out. So say we have a player value, and we say he will eat deck.pop. Oh, so we got an error. And let's check out undefined local variable or method player. Okay, so usually Rails allows you, or is lucrative enough so that you don't have to declare your variables. Like you could just do this without ever declaring player, and it would just automatically create player. But because we're doing this alligator sign, and we're not setting it equal to anything, then for a reason we have to declare player. So in order for it not to be an error, we have to say player equals an array, and then we can say player eats deck dot pop hearts king. So if we check out player, yes, we got it. We call it again, deck dot pop, and now player has 2 cards. Exactly what we want. So let's call session player cards equal to an array, and we're going to do the same exact thing as the computer, for the computer. So we'll just change the variable name to dealer cards. So these are the dealer's cards, which is a little trippy because the method is deal new round. Just don't confuse that. This dealer as in a person who's at the table dealing all the cards, and he's playing against you. Dealer cards. So we did this function, deal 2 cards to you as well as the computer player. So this is everything you need for a new round. Oh, no, one more thing. We need the cards on the table. Actually, no, that's Texas Hold'em. That's not BlackJack. So that's everything that we need to deal a new round. Everything else is after. If you want to hit to get closer to 21, you do that in another step. So for deal new round method, we have completed it, and at the end of it, we want to send it to, we want to redirect, because we don't want it to go to its own view page, even though we can, but I'd rather redirect it separately to another method, another get method, whose purpose is simply to show what the current status of the player's cards are. So we're going to redirect it to the game page. And we got to create this method, and we got to create the action. So let's do that. Game is going to be a get action because it's not doing any processing. It's simply just, it's not doing any saving data or anything. So it's going to be a get method. It's simply showing the users a computer screen with the status of everyone's cards and everything. Now, just to remind, this was a get method, not because it should be, but just because we weren't able to do this segment of code redirect to deal new round path without this being a get method. Now, there probably is some way to get around that, but I was too lazy to go look for that, and it's not really necessary for this demo app that we're doing for practice and learning. So we're going to say redirect to game path. Now let's create that path, get, and it's going to be /game to BlackJack's controller and the method game. Save, cancel that. Break routes. Let's exit out of the console, clear, and let's say rake routes. And there we go, we get the game path. And the game, we got to create a HTML file for this get, and that will be for the next lesson. Oh, and that reminds me, for this method, for the action save bet, we gotta actually tweak it up, because if you think about it, these aren't actual humans. So whereas if you're in a casino and you have $10 left and they ask you how much you want to bet, and I say $500, well, I only have 10 chips, and because the dealer is a human, he just automatically say no, you don't have 500. But since this is since our thing is a program, if I have 10 and I just input a 100, that's not possible. We can do it because there's a glitch in the program, but that's not how it should be. Because if we go here, it doesn't check. It just automatically saves whatever the user inputs as how much he bets. So we gotta fix that somehow and make it so that our web server can tell if they're going past how much money they have, or if their bet is valid. And so if it's not valid, then we got to redirect them back to that page where they bet and tell them, you bet too much, you don't have enough money, please redo it. But if it is successful, then it should redirect them to this page. And we'll do that next video.